Hello, 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 everyone. Okay, so this is my first time using StreamYard to stream from my computer to my Instagram. So as you all come in, say hello because I want to make sure that this is working properly because there's so many different technologies that you have to connect in. I want to make sure that you can hear me. So let me know in the chat if you can hear me as you come in because I want to make sure that I am not talking to myself and that you can actually hear me. Okay? So come on in, come on in. All right. So hopefully this is working. And if you are new to this space, welcome. I'm Shevvy Mac. If you are watching this later on, hashtag replay. Okay. So hopefully it's like a delay, but hopefully you can hear me. But welcome to my channel. I'm Shevvy Mac and I'm your realtor. And this is what I'm going to be doing for the next 30 days is to go live here for you all to get to know me, but also learn more about me and also learn more about you. And also for me to share knowledge on what's going on in the real estate market to make sure that you are able to buy or sell your property being well educated on your decision. But before I get into that, I am Chevy Meg. I'm a retired Air Force veteran out of Montgomery, Alabama. I served 22 plus years in the United States Air Force. So when it comes to leadership, team building, all the things, and it's something I bring into my real estate background. So I decided to get into real estate, but I also bring a leadership background into what I do. And I want to make sure that when I'm serving individuals, whether that's a seller or a buyer in the Montgomery, Alabama, and surrounding areas, to make sure that you are educated, even if you are transitioning from a different state to Alabama because of military duties, then definitely I am here to serve you and support you. Okay. Instagram is asking me to verify my account. Y'all, technology. Let's see if this is working. Okay. All right, give me a second because this is my first time using StreamYard for this. All right, let's see. Okay. Okay. Let's see. Okay, hopefully I'm still live. Okay, yes. Y'all. All right. So again, welcome. Hopefully y'all can hear me. Hopefully you can hear me. All right. If not, I can do this later on. But like I shared a little bit about me, and I want to talk today about first time home buyers, like buying your first home, because so many people are in that space and they might be thinking, like, am I ready to buy? One of my sisters, she's been thinking about buying for the longest time, and you may be in that same mindset where you're waiting for a specific um, interest rate to happen. You're looking for a specific, when the housing market is favorable in your favor. But I want to make sure, just kind of as a first time home buyer, I want you to think of certain things that you want to make sure that you have in place before you move forward, because it can be scary because it's a big purchase. It is a big purchase, and you might be like, okay, am I ready to go from renting or home ownership? And I will tell you based on my experience, and I will share my experience when I purchased my first home with my ex-husband, how that went. And I want you to kind of think of, you know, as you're going through this process, do I have everything that I need to make sure that I am well educated, but also making the right for you and your family at this time, or just you for you? Okay. So the first thing that you want to make sure that you have in place as a first time home buyer is to make sure that you have the documents that you need, because you want to make sure you have an amazing experience, not only in the sense of you going and searching and looking at beautiful houses, but making sure that the quality of services that you receive is what you're looking for as well too. So the first thing that you wanna make sure that you're doing is making sure that your credit is good to go. So if you're working on building your credit, great. Definitely make sure is in the, for me, I would recommend at least 600 plus or higher because that's gonna allow you to have a better interest rate, which you can definitely negotiate with the bank. So for me, in my experience, and this was 2010 when I purchased my first home, and I actually decided to fly to Virginia because I was in Texas at the time to look at homes. And sometimes, yes, you can purchase the home without seeing it, but I'm that person. I like to go and look. And at that time, I had a newborn, so I took my baby with me to find a home. And it took, it was just a weekend trip, but I was able to find something for myself that really was in my budget, but also that would increase in value because of the location and so forth. So look at, okay, do I have my how's my credit looking, in the sense of my credit report? Do I have things I have to, pay off? And don't go buy other stuff. Like, look at, okay, my credit is well. Okay, let me just kind of sustain this so that I can get into my home because when you start purchasing, it's going to impact your credit. So look at if you're really looking to buy your first home, not spending a whole bunch of money on things that are not going to add value. um, don't buy no big cars. Don't run up your credit cards. Just really be intentional about, okay, let me make sure that my credit stays at this specific point. The next thing that you want to do is make sure that you have an approval letter because as a new realtor now that I've transitioned out of the military, now that I'm a realtor, it is so important for you as a buyer to have a pre-approval letter from your bank and really look at the bank that you're trying to work with because this will be a long-term relationship. And sometimes it may not because that bank will actually sell your loan over to another bank after you close. Again, that's in your contract, all that stuff. Like you got to make sure you read those things. So really having your pre-approval letter because as a realtor, an agent doesn't really want to talk to you unless you are serious. They know that you are serious about moving forward. You have a pre-approval letter, and that pre-approval letter is letting that agent know, like, "Hey, I am serious about buying my first home, or maybe this might be your second home, but I have the documentation to tell you that, hey, I am pre-approved for this amount." And one thing I will talk about in another live is even though you're pre-approved for X amount, I'm all about living in your means, like, seriously, because sometimes as a first-time home buyer, we are excited and we wanna spend all of it. As your guide, as your educator, and this is what I do with my clients, is to really make sure that you're educated. Even though you're $400,000, do you really need a house at that price point? And probably not. And even when I found the house that we lived in back in 2010, it was a foreclosure property. It was in a cul-de-sac, it was a beautiful neighborhood, but again, that was during the housing crisis, so that was a great deal. We had $20,000 in equity already in the home, so you wanna make sure that you are, you're yes, you have a pre-approval for X amount, but you wanna make sure that you're doing your due diligence where you at the end, because I always think at the end, am I gonna be able to afford this when I am done being excited about this process and this journey because it's a journey and you're excited and you're thinking like, oh my goodness, I cannot wait to move into this beautiful home. But really think after this excitement is gone, are you comfortable paying that set amount for your mortgage? Because for me, my realtor at the time, she was saying the bank, "Oh, well, how much you wanna get approved?" I'm like, "Hey, this is what I want. I don't want my mortgage to be no more than $1,100." Like, that was my thing. I did not want my mortgage payment to be no more than $1,100 because I wanted to make sure that I was able to cover that under one paycheck in case my ex-husband, he lost his job because being in the military, always moving, he had to find another job. So I wanted to make sure that if it was just one income we can afford that mortgage payment and all the other things. So those are things that you want to keep in mind. With this mortgage, am I able to, if it's just me, maintain it for years, or if I'm married, are we able to maintain this with one income? Because again, you want to be realistic, and that's what this is who I am as a realtor, is making sure that my clients are thinking, yes, it's their decision final. Like at the end of the day, it is their decision. But I want to make sure that they are educated on making the best decision for them, not only now, but long term. So really look at, um, with the approval letter, how much do I really want to spend on this specific house that I'm looking for? Also, as a first-time home buyer, you wanna relook at where do you wanna live? Like, where do you wanna live? And I know for me, at the time, I had my daughter, she was, 4, and I had a six-month-old. I wanted to make sure that the community was very family-centered. Also, I wanted to make sure that it was great education. Thank you for joining, Just Lovely Lace. Appreciate you joining me. And if you have any questions in the chat, please drop it in. I am talking about first-time home buyers. I am speaking of my experience and just giving tips of, if you're a first-time home buyer. And if you are, drop a one in the chat. Like, if you are a first-time home buyer or you're thinking about purchasing a home as a first-time home buyer, drop a one in the chat. Because I want to make sure that you are educated as you're thinking about this, and when you finally pull the trigger on doing such, that you are like, okay, prepared to some degree. And I talked about looking at, your credit score, like really building up your credit score and not spending a whole bunch of money when you know you're looking at purchasing a home in the next 6 months. So really look at how am I making sure that my credit score stays in the high numbers to where when I do go to the bank that they are not giving me this crazy interest rate when I can negotiate the rates and so forth. Yes, Lovely Lace said, tuning in from Atlanta, to be first time home buyer and had so many questions. Awesome. So definitely bring your questions. I will be here every day all this month. And it will be different times because right now I'm able to do this live right now, and then it may be tomorrow in the evening. So you never know. Okay. Um, and she said, I said, Mom, I'm concerned about schools in the area that has diversity. I said, exactly. And that's something that I really look for when I purchased my first home was look, okay, what is diverseness? And the neighborhood that I was able to find our home at the time, it was on a cul-de-sac. It had Hispanic, it had Caucasian, it had, minority, like it was a diverse groups of individuals. Great school district, which if you have kids, that's something that we look for quite often. But again, you get to choose as the realtor, we just guide you. I just guide you, but you at the end of the day make the best choice for yourself and for your family. So definitely looking at the location. And sometimes you may have to travel that location to look at houses. That's what I did as we were transitioning to Virginia. So I flew with my 6-month-old at the time and went around and looked at a few houses. Some I was like, this is not me. But when you get to that house, you're like, okay, you can envision living there. You can envision like growing in this home or creating it to be an investment property later on. This is something that we did after we moved due to the military. So really, I move my hands a lot to be like, oh my goodness, Chevy is like moving her hands. So definitely identify, okay, after you get your pre-approval letter, like looking at the location of where you want to live. And sometimes you probably want to do that before and like identify, okay, what is the city that I want to live in or the state? What is the cost of living? Kind of like do your own research. But sometimes people may think, well, let me just go get an approval letter and then buy a home. I really advise you as a realtor to just really do some research before you really just hire any, realtor to say, yes, let's go ahead and get you this beautiful home for $4,000. In reality, you cannot maintain it. Okay. So like I said, definitely look at your credit, get your pre-approval letter, identify what location that you're trying to move into, the school, the community, and so forth. And then the other thing that you want to make sure that you're doing is really shop around for a realtor. And when I say shop around, I really identify in your area or the location that you're going to. Maybe look at, okay, what's your reviews on this person. For me, I went through USAA, which is a bank for the military, and they had a company that they partnered with that pretty much provided um, realtor support for us as military representatives, was to help us make the transition process a lot easier. And I had a great realtor. I can't remember her name because this was again 2010. No, this was 2010 time frame. So Definitely, but I remember what she looks like and, but I felt a little pressure from her, but I'm like, I'm staking my ground because sometimes you will have a realtor who is, like, very pushy, and that is why you wanna make sure as a first-time home buyer that you don't feel pressure to jump into something that you're not comfortable with, and really ask questions, have conversations. Maybe if you wanna take it to the point where they have past clients, just have a conversation. Definitely, but if you feel like they are rushing you and you feel like, "Okay, like, I'm not ready to make a decision," but they're on you consistently, then I would say definitely reevaluate and identify, "Okay, is this person serving me or do they have my best interest?" Because a lot of times you may find that the realtor is just focused on that end revenue that they will gain at the end instead of really making sure that they actually take care of you, okay? Because for me, it's all about what serves you best at the end. Because at the end of the day, yes, I can help you sell this house and I will make money on that. But at the end of the day, I want to make sure that my clients are able to enjoy the home, but also afford the home. Because I don't want you to move into this home where you're like, this is beautiful, and then you are struggling 6 months to a year from now to maintain the mortgage. So we have to be realistic. Um, and like I said, shop around for the best realtor to help. And my last thing I will share as a first-time home buyer, like, really be clear on exactly the type of home that you want. Not the type of home that you like, "Hey, this is where I'm gonna be in the next 30 years," because honestly, it's probably not you're not gonna be there for 30 years. You're probably gonna be there on average 2 to 5 years, maybe in your first home. So really think realistically in the next 2 to 5 years, what type of home do I wanna be in? Or if you're that person like, "Hey, this home will be my home for the next 10, 15 years," then identify the type of home, the square footage, number of bathrooms, bedrooms, the spaciousness of the home, the different types of floor plans, a backyard, more in the country, in the city, in the middle. So really think about what is it that you desire? And be realistic and understand that everything that you desire for that first home, you may not get it. You will not get it because there's gonna be something that doesn't, you know, that the house doesn't have unless you build it from scratch. And you can choose that route as well too, which I will talk about that in another episode on whether you wanna buy brand new, like building, or buy something that's already ready to move in or maybe a fixer upper. So definitely get clear on exactly what is it that you desire for yourself in your new home, and making sure that you communicate that with your realtor because that is key. You don't The realtor is working for you. So if you are out and you are looking at all these houses by yourself, you have your realtor, then you need to get yourself another realtor because that person, he or she, is working for you to make sure that you have the best experience that you can. So that when you're able to move into your home, you don't feel stressed. You feel like this was a beautiful journey that I enjoyed the process. And not saying it's going to be perfect because things do happen. But overall, the experience was an 8 out of 10, or even 10, which will be amazing. But, yes, I wanna just kinda talk to you about buying your first home if you're a first-time home buyer. Again, make sure that your credit is good to go, and don't spend a whole bunch of money or buy new things when you know you're about to purchase a home in the next 6 months to a year or even 3 months. Have your approval letter, and again, shop around with banks that is gonna serve your best interests and make sure that you have the best, interest as possible, and ask those questions like, "Hey, what are some benefits, that you guys have if you're military?" You have the VA, which I'll be talking about that as well too, your VA benefits. Um, Also look at, identifying the location. What do you desire? Where do you desire to live, and the type of house you're willing to move into, and really look at that approval letter and really ask yourself, okay, I'm approved for $500,000. Do I need to spend that money? And how much will I pay per month in mortgage? And don't just think about the mortgage, think about the utilities, think about the maintenance. So really look at how much money will I spend overall per month to maintain this home? Because if you have a mortgage of $2,000, you're probably gonna be spending an extra $1,500 on the maintenance of the home, from groceries, all the things. So really be realistic. I am that realtor who's gonna like, hey, let's be realistic. But at the end of the day, if you feel like, hey, you can afford that, then that is your choice. All right. Any questions? Okay, but I know before all that can be done, the main important just love you lays said, but I know before all that can be done, the main important part about home buying is getting myself approved ready. Yes, exactly. Getting yourself approval ready, it is key because you can go out looking for a home all day long. You can, talk to a realtor all day long, but at the end of the day, if you don't have that pre-approval letter, nothing is happening. Sellers will not look at you and take you seriously because you don't have a pre-approval letter. They want to make sure that you have skin in the game and that you are serious about purchasing a home with them or someone else. So really make sure that you have that pre-approval letter, but really understand what you're getting into, which is a great experience because now you're shifting how you live, you're shifting your world, your life experience. So definitely if you found this video to be helpful, leave a comment. You can also DM me any questions that you may have. And if you would love to connect with me to learn about what is available here in the Montgomery, Alabama area, surrounding areas like Prattville, Wetumpka, Selma, then definitely you can click the link in my bio to book a consultation call that is free. Okay. And I serve individuals who are in the Montgomery, Alabama, and surrounding areas whether you are buying or selling, if you are relocating here due to military duties, then definitely reach out to me. I would love to support you as a veteran. I definitely understand the challenges of learning about the neighborhood, learning about places for kids. I have young kids, so I definitely understand um, the importance of finding the home to move into, especially when you be assigned to the base for the next 2 to 4 years. So thank you for joining. You all reach out to me if you have any questions. And again, #replay. If you're a first time home buyer, drop a one in the chat, and I will see you all tomorrow at a different time. All right, have an amazing day.